Mr. Fagali, are the potential long-term implications of these strikes for regional stability and relations between the US and the Middle East?
Uh, this, uh, this, of course, will be clearly indicated after the US elections once a new administration is rushed in. But of course, as we've mentioned uh, before, the US will, for the foreseeable and for the long future, have Israel's interest above everything else. So the relationship, let's say, between the US and the Middle East and Middle Eastern countries in general will not take into compromise the interests or the well-being or the safety or the security of Israel. So it depends on the outcome of this war. It depends on the future of this war. It depends on the new map that will be generated out of this war. And I think we could have a clean slate. We could just open a new chapter with the US and the Middle Eastern relationships. It depends on so many factors right now. But for the moment, the US election is the landmark that all experts, let's say, are eagerly waiting for to assess the future of the ongoing instability in the region.
And going back to General El-Mashmoushi, how could you think that these strikes actually might impact ongoing tensions in Lebanon and ceasefire negotiations in Gaza, in your opinion?
It's normal that, in my opinion, Iran tries to avoid being involved in an all-out war and a direct confrontation with Israel. That's why they will resort to a war by proxy. This is by adopting side pressure methods either on the Lebanese front or in Gaza front in order to practice pressure on the Israeli side to accept diplomatic solutions. That's why I expect that in the upcoming days they will further launch more missiles from Lebanon to Israel and the ground offensives on the Lebanese borders. And they will even have land operations inside the Lebanese territories, and this happens also in Gaza. Things are started to be clear in the past 2 weeks, and the pace of the aggression is accelerated, and they depend on qualitative operations in the Israeli depth, either 50 kilometers away or even reaching the capital, Tel Aviv.
Mr. El-Fagali, the Israeli Prime Minister Netanyahu stated that the strikes were precise and achieved their objectives. How credible do you think this statement is, or this claim?
I think after what we've seen in Lebanon and with the pager thing, the assassinations of the Hezbollah leaders and all that, I think Israel have shown that they can be precise, that they can be strategically advanced, let's say, on their opponents, and of course such statement will come out, and I think that we can take it into consideration and we cannot take it very lightly. It is quite credible because the experience have proved it. The experience in Lebanon, the experience in Gaza have proved that Israel can and will be precise and will be timely in their strikes.
Back again to General El-Mashmoushi, and what kind of response do you anticipate, General, from Iran following these attacks, and how might they affect the regional dynamics, do you think?
In fact, personally, I don't expect a response from Iran to this strike, because in my opinion, Iran will be as patient as possible, the painful patience, in order to avoid being dragged by the Israelis or to prevent the Israeli entity from further strikes. It's worth mentioning that it was said that there were 20 targets and 100 airplanes, but the question is, where are the Iranian air defenses and S-400 and all of these things? I believe that all of these things will be future questions, unless, and this is a very weak possibility, unless Iran responded, and this depends on the amount of losses in the military bases and the missile and drones facilities in Iran. If the losses are great, Iran will resort to a postponed response. And maybe the response will be similar to before, meaning that Iran may not have to be involved in this war, because being involved in the war today is not in the best interest of both parties. Maybe Israel seeks igniting this conflict. However, the United States is keen on preventing an all-out war, especially at this time and precisely before the elections. The same applies to Israel, because Israel, after finalizing all of its fighting operations in the Lebanese front, like
Thank you very much,
شكراً
General.
جزيلاً.